This is Dr. Todd May for Philosophy to You. Welcome to the first in a series on the what, the why, and the how of meaningful work. In this course, we'll be looking at the what of meaningful work. What does meaningful work exactly mean? Here's an outline for the course. In the first part, we'll be looking at what's meaning, how we tend to define it, why this is problematic. Then we'll move on to the answer to the problem, looking at less employee-centric methods, and then something at Philosophy to You that we call partners in meaning. We'll look closely at the less employee-centric version, and then more closely at the partners in meaning. And finally, we'll move from theory to practice. We'll define the capabilities approach to meaningful work. And then we'll look at a specific use case that has arisen in Philosophy to You consultation. Isn't meaning obvious when it comes to work? It's whatever makes a member of staff or an employee happy. But you can look at a business or organization and then take any particular procedure and you'll find that there's probably a divided opinion about it. You can look at memos. One person might be very happy about the use of memos because maybe they feel like there's a sense of order and control. Then you'll have a segment of your staff that are complacent. They could live without it or they can have it. Doesn't really matter. And then you can get a small but significant portion of your staff who feel really ambivalent about the use of memos. They're confused, conflicted, and even unhappy about it. They question whether you actually really need that particular procedure. And that can have knock-on effects and cause a lot of dissatisfaction. And when you get some dissatisfaction, it can spread like wildfire within an organization and really hurt employee morale. The moral of the story is that meaning can't just be about what each member of staff, employee, or worker thinks it is. There has to be some kind of consistency in order for the organization or business to succeed and do well, and for there to be a strong and healthy work culture in that business. So let's look at a real case scenario of a large outdoor retailer that had an experiment with a membership scheme. So this particular retailer depends upon membership sales as part of the viability of the business. The experiment involved the retailer introducing a commission-based sales platform into a few of its stores. Prior to that, across the nation, employees were highly motivated to sell memberships, but it wasn't something they were paid for. It was just seen as part of their daily duties while being on the sales floor. If the retailer goes with a pure commission system, as it did in a few of its stores, there's a risk in making a swath of your staff unhappy, and you may even lose a significant part of your experienced sales staff. So on the one hand, you might get some employees who are highly motivated by this commission-based system because, well, they're good at selling memberships and they've done so in the past. And now they get the added bonus of making a little bit more money based upon their high performance. Then you get that segment who's complacent. They hit their targets, as it were, on a daily basis. They like the stress-free environment, but if they can make a little bit of money on top of that, then that's fine with them. And then you'll get a segment of the staff population who are ambivalent or maybe even dissatisfied, confused, or angry about the new policy because what they've noticed is that the culture within the store on the sales floor has changed. In fact, what they found is that a lot of employees were unhappy with the commission-based sales system because they found that the culture on the sales floor had changed. The outdoor retailer is very famous for a team membership approach to sales and support on the floor. And a lot of employees found this had started to diminish. And in fact, that other employees had started to encroach upon their territory, as it were, when they were trying to get new membership commissions. So the retailer recognized that was not only dissatisfying for a significant percentage of its employee base, but that it started eroding some of the cultural values that that retailer was based on. What the retailer took from that was not to introduce the commission system and instead to find other ways to motivate employees to help keep membership sales up. So let's call the potential clash of views about meaning in work the employee-centric problem. If you want to get philosophical, which we often do at Philosophy to You, then you can refer to this as the problem of subjectivism about meaning. Meaning cannot be simply what each of us, as a human subject, thinks it is. In fact, if you look at much of the academic literature on meaningful work, you'll find that a lot of scholars and theorists simply take meaning in work to be mostly, if not entirely, subjective. But they're missing out on an entirely different approach. And that approach is what informs Philosophy to You's research on meaningfulness in work. So, what then is our answer? Philosophy to You's answer has two components. One is the less employee-centric approach, and the other is called partners in meaning. Or before we unpack that a little bit, just think about it as being equal partners in some kind of commitment or process. First, the less employee-centric approach. The solution for this component is basically to find ways in which meaningfulness can be tied to the work community, key performance indicators or progression markers, employee and client and customer relations. To go back to the example of the large outdoor retailer, they try to find ways to celebrate membership numbers without a commission-based system and don't use them as hard requisites to gauge performance for individual employees, but they do hold membership numbers accountable to particular stores or branches. So what that means is that there is more of a team effort to get the membership total up for that particular store as opposed to each individual employee competing with another employee to see who can get more members in order to get more money. So often what you find is in each particular store, the store manager will set a goal of memberships per week or per day. And if the team can reach that, then there's certain perks added to what the employees receive. Now for the constructive and innovative solution. It's what we at Philosophy TU call partners in meaning. In short, being partners in meaning involves both the business and employees being equally committed to and involved in the process of recognizing that meaningful work matters, and then two, trying to find ways to make aspects of the work meaningful. You might be asking, why should the business and employees do this? If you like the idea of meaningful work, then you probably have your own thoughts about this. We'll be exploring the why of meaningful work in the second course titled, as you guessed it, The Why of Meaningful Work. For now, let's take a few examples in order to focus in on a few features which help to make a partnering culture. In our own consultation work, we found that there are a few things that really stand out in helping to promote a partnering culture. One is a flat structure, or a version of it, which means that there is more equality between employee, management, and leadership. Transparency of management, especially with respect to honesty and communication. Open door policies for managers and leaders so that employees can come in with any kind of questions they might have about their own work, role, or career progression. Mentoring by senior members of staff to help out younger members of staff. And leadership by example, where leaders in the business are involved in the daily operations of the business, whether this means getting out on the sales floor or checking with employees to see how they're doing. Really helps with morale and keeping up to date and in touch with the temperature of the company. Key features that help with the ownership of a partnering culture and its growth involve the development of real opportunities to participate in the company, whether it's the flat structure, transparency, mentoring, etc., and nurturing community as culture. And this involves making sure that the values of partnership are integrated in some way in the social aspect of the company, whether this involves outings, parties, or team building type exercises. So this is all great in theory, but how can a business or organization actually practice partnership in meaning? Just a reminder that you can subscribe, sign up for courses, and access a range of free and paid resources on meaningful work at our website, philosophytu.com, where you'll find blogs, articles, interviews with thought leaders and business leaders, and links to our educational content on Thinkific, YouTube, and the Buzzsprout podcast platform. To recap, the practical solution to what is meaningful work is to be less employee-centric and to develop a partnership in meaning. So what then do we at Philosophy TU propose in terms of executing that partnership? Well, it has to do with something called capabilities. Think about partnering as enhancing our capabilities, or what's often referred to in philosophy as the capabilities approach, which was developed by the philosophers Martha Nussbaum and Paul Ricoeur and the Nobel Prize economist Amartya Sen. Capabilities are our human features that enable us and empower us as persons. So what might help here is to think about humans and features that are specific to humans as the biological animal or creature. So we have the features of being able to think. We have opposable thumbs to help us with our daily routines of holding, grasping, and using. And then we're going to distinguish that with the person. When we talk about the person, we're not just talking about biological functions or advantages. We're talking about things like personality, emotion, psychology, imagination, things that really help build you as a unique person. And of course, attached to this, and what's very important, are how we use these qualities of our personality, emotion, and psychology in terms of the aims and values we hold dear. In other words, being enabled and empowered as a person means being able to use your qualities or capabilities in order to achieve those things that you think fit with your aims and values. So you're probably familiar with the human resources maxim, putting people first. According to Philosophy 2, putting people first means developing their capabilities. The important emphasis is that you're not just developing work-specific skills or capabilities, but skills that overlap and are integral to being a more capable person. We'll explore this key distinction more in the next course on the why of meaningful work. For now, let's just note two aspects of using this capabilities approach to meaningful work. An easy start is to identify amongst your business procedures and employee roles what skills currently help staff become more capable persons and what skills potentially can be developed as such. The next step, investigate, discover, and take action on making it so. Okay, admittedly, that last part of making it so, that's the really difficult part. But we at Philosophy 2 have a lot of great ideas and experience on how to bring that about. And as you guessed it, the last course in this series, the How of Meaningful Work, will cover that in more detail. In the meantime, let's look at a simple use case example from our own work. All Work and No Play involves a financial consultant who was extremely talented when it came to analysis and problem solving. But she suffered from social anxiety, and what was the most stressful for her was actually reporting her results to her clients when she had to confront them about things that needed to be changed and, of course, things that were going well. So in short, in our consultation, we found ways where the existing mentoring system at her work could be leveraged for more support and be more proactive with overcoming her social anxiety. That was a bit of a quick fix, but the real problem was getting this particular financial consultant to transition from a state of anxiety to slowly transition into a state of being more confident about their capability to address clients with problems and solutions. So Philosophy 2 used a role-playing approach where the financial consultant could see herself in a role as a consultant instead of the person with social anxiety. So to go back to the capabilities approach, what we're doing is we're using some aspect of her work to allow her to disassociate herself from her person. And we're going to focus on work-specific capabilities in order to help remedy her own personal situation. Developing the work-specific capacity enabled her to be a better person. She was able to make the distinction between the person and the consultant and even learn from her role as a consultant to help her in her personal life. And she reported many meetings later that she was at more ease in social situations, whereas before she would have suffered from a bit of social anxiety and nervousness. It was a happy result for her, a win for the business, and of course, a win for Philosophy 2. If you want to try our practical diagnostic quizzes, playbooks, and workbooks, you can find a range of learning and development resources on our website. If you need more analysis and insight, please contact me, Dr. Todd May. It makes a world of difference to talk to someone to gain a clearer and more in-depth understanding. I'm here to help maximize your sense of meaningfulness. My years of teaching and podcasting make me an expert at this. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you soon.